This will sound crazy, but Buddha, a guy who lived 2,500 years ago and never heard of a college loan, would completely understand why you can't sleep at night thinking about your $42,000 debt. Here's the thing. Americans now owe $1.81 trillion in student loans. Gen Z is paying an average of $526 per month, almost double what other generations pay. And 56% of borrowers say their loans are stopping them from saving, investing, or living their actual lives. But here's what's wild. Buddha figured out the psychological root of this exact stress before credit scores even existed. I'm here with functional Buddhism, where ancient wisdom meets modern American problems. And if you're drowning in student debt, feeling like you made a terrible mistake, or lying awake calculating payments for the next 20 years, this video is going to change how you think about debt forever. Today we're exploring why your student loan anxiety isn't really about money. It's about something Buddha called tanha. And once you understand this, you'll have a 2,500-year-old strategy that actually works. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use Buddhist principles to reduce your debt stress, make smarter financial decisions, and stop letting loans control your mental health. Buddha taught that all suffering comes from tanha, usually translated as craving or thirst. But here's what most people miss. Tanha isn't just wanting things. It's 3 specific types of attachment that are absolutely destroying student borrowers right now. First, attachment to outcomes. You borrowed $50,000 because you were attached to the idea that a degree equals a specific salary, a certain lifestyle, a guaranteed future. Sound familiar? Second, attachment to identity. You're not just someone with debt. You've become a person with student loans. That's your identity now. You introduce yourself differently, make decisions differently, see yourself differently. Third, attachment to the past. Buddha called this vibhava tanha, the attachment to becoming or not becoming. You're either attached to who you thought you'd be by now, or you're attached to not being the failure you think you are. The anxiety you feel? It's not really about the 526 monthly payment. It's about these attachments. Okay, so what would Buddha actually do if he woke up tomorrow with $42,000 in student debt? First, practice upadana-kaya, letting go of attachment. He wouldn't pretend the debt doesn't exist, but he'd stop attaching his worth, his future, and his identity to the numbers. The debt is a fact. The suffering about the debt, that's optional. Second, apply right view to money. Buddha taught that money isn't good or evil, it's neutral. Your student loans aren't punishment for bad choices. They're not proof you're stupid, they're just loans, data, numbers that need handling, not emotional drama. Third, use the middle way principle. This is huge. Buddha rejected extreme wealth and extreme poverty. He'd find the middle path between ignore the debt completely and let debt anxiety run your life. Pay what you can, plan rationally, but don't sacrifice your present happiness to future financial perfection. Fourth, practice mudita, sympathetic joy. Instead of resenting friends who didn't need loans or comparing yourself to debt-free people, Buddha would practice being genuinely happy for others' good fortune. This stops the comparison trap that multiplies suffering. Here's how to apply this starting today. Step 1. The daily reality check. 2 minutes every morning. Acknowledge your debt number without emotional drama. Say it out loud. I owe $42,673. This is a fact, not a judgment about my worth. Buddha called this right mindfulness. Step 2. The attachment audit. Do this weekly. Ask yourself, what am I attached to about this debt? The shame, the timeline, the idea that I should be further along? Write it down, then consciously let it go. Step 3. Right action on payments. Buddhist right action means effective action without emotional extremes. Pay the minimum if that's what you can afford. Pay extra when you can. But don't destroy your mental health trying to pay off loans faster than your income allows. Step 4. Practice gratitude for education. Buddha taught that suffering comes from focusing on what we lack instead of what we have. You have knowledge, skills, experiences. The debt funded something valuable. Honor that. Step 5. The good friend principle. Buddha said surround yourself with people who support your growth. If friends or family make you feel worse about your debt, limit those conversations. Find communities of people handling debt responsibly. Let me tell you about Sarah. She had $67,000 in loans, was paying $480 monthly, and hadn't slept properly in 2 years. She tried budgeting apps, side hustles, even considered bankruptcy. Then she started applying these Buddhist principles, not meditation or chanting, just these practical mental shifts. Within 3 months, her anxiety decreased dramatically. Not because her debt changed, but because her relationship with the debt changed. She stopped checking her loan balance obsessively, stopped comparing herself to debt-free friends, started making decisions based on what was actually possible, not what she thought she should be able to afford. A year later, she'd actually paid down $12,000, not through extreme measures, but through clear-headed planning without emotional drama. Here's your Buddhist student loan practice. Morning, acknowledge your debt as neutral fact, not personal failure. During the day, when loan anxiety hits, ask, what am I attached to right now? Evening, name one thing your education gave you that you're grateful for. Weekly, review your payments and plan next steps without emotional drama. This isn't about positive thinking or denial. It's about approaching a real problem with the clarity Buddha taught, instead of the suffering our minds create. Buddha never had student loans, but he understood something crucial. The actual circumstances of our lives cause way less suffering than our thoughts about those circumstances. Your debt is real, your payments are real, but the shame, anxiety, and identity crisis, those are optional, and Buddha gave us specific tools to handle them. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, practice seeing your student loans as neutral facts instead of personal judgments. Notice how much mental space opens up when you're not carrying emotional debt on top of financial debt. If this helped you see your loans differently, hit subscribe. We're exploring practical Buddhist solutions to modern American problems every week. And drop a comment. What's one attachment about your debt that you're ready to let go of? Remember, you are not your debt. Your debt is not your destiny. And Buddha would be proud of you for seeking wisdom instead of just suffering.